In today's world, confidence is often seen as an outward display of self-assurance, something that is naturally bestowed on a few. But when we explore Stoic philosophy, we uncover a much deeper, more profound definition of true confidence. Stoicism teaches us that confidence isn't about outward appearances or external validation, but about a quiet inner strength grounded in understanding ourselves and the natural order of life. In this video, we'll dive into how the Stoics approached confidence, seeing it as a reflection of self-mastery, acceptance of life's unpredictability, and a deep sense of resilience that remains unshaken by external circumstances. Join us as we explore the Stoic path to authentic confidence that comes from within. Understand that confidence is not about having all the answers, but about being okay with not knowing. Imagine stepping into a world where certainty is a mirage, always just out of reach. In such a world, what would true confidence look like? The Stoics, in their timeless wisdom, would tell you that it doesn't lie in having all the answers, because the answers, they believed, are often elusive, shaped by an unpredictable world. True confidence, in the Stoic sense, is found in accepting that uncertainty is not a weakness, but a part of the natural order. The Stoics didn't expect to control everything, nor did they see the need to have all the answers. Instead, they placed their confidence in their ability to respond to life's uncertainties with clarity and composure. They understood that knowledge is vast, and we, as individuals, can never grasp it all. But it's not the knowing that gives us strength, it's the ability to remain calm and centered in the face of what we don't know. Think of it like sailing. The stormy seas may be unpredictable, but the confident sailor isn't the one who claims to control the waves. They are the one who knows how to adjust the sails, trust their instincts, and navigate through the unknown with grace. Confidence isn't about certainty, it's about trust in our ability to adapt and face the unknown with courage and poise. In the Stoic world, accepting that we don't have all the answers isn't a failure, it's a gateway to wisdom. The very act of embracing our ignorance opens us to growth, learning, and resilience. And isn't that the true essence of confidence? Accept that life's unpredictability is out of our control. What remains in our control is our response to it. Picture life as a vast river, rushing forward with unpredictable twists, turns, and rapids. No matter how hard we try, we can't change the direction of the current, nor can we stop the flow. Yet, within this wild river, we still have one powerful choice: how we navigate it. This is the Stoic view of life's unpredictability. We don't control the events that unfold, the job losses, the unexpected illnesses, the personal setbacks, but we absolutely control how we respond. This concept is at the core of Stoic philosophy, and it's a concept that transforms how we approach the world. Life will always throw us into turbulent waters, but what determines the depth of our inner strength isn't the chaos itself, it's how we handle it. Imagine a storm on the open sea. The storm rages with fierce winds and towering waves, but the ship's captain doesn't focus on the uncontrollable elements. Instead, they focus on their response. They steer the ship, adjust the sails, and stay calm, knowing they can't stop the storm, but they can choose their actions within it. The Stoics taught that our greatest power lies not in shaping the world around us but in mastering ourselves. By accepting that much of life's unpredictability is beyond our grasp, we free ourselves from frustration and fear. We realize that our true strength lies in our ability to choose our reactions, whether to endure with grace, to learn from hardship, or to adapt with wisdom. So, when life throws a curveball, it's not the event itself that defines us, it's our response. In this way, Stoic philosophy doesn't seek to make life more predictable. It empowers us to navigate it with confidence and clarity, regardless of what comes our way. Regularly reflect on death, memento mori, understanding that life is fleeting, which encourages making the most of each moment. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, gazing out at the vast horizon. The sun is setting, casting a golden hue across the sky, but as you stand there, a quiet voice whispers in your ear, "This moment, like all moments, will pass." The world continues, but the moment you're experiencing, this one, right here, is as fleeting as the fading light of dusk. This is the essence of memento mori, the Stoic practice of regularly reflecting on death. At first glance, it might seem morbid or unsettling, But when approached with intention, it becomes a profound tool for living a rich, fulfilling life. The Stoics understood something fundamental: life is temporary, and this knowledge is not something to fear but to embrace. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote in his Meditations that, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." By reflecting on our mortality, we are reminded of the preciousness of time and the urgency to make the most of the moments we have. Death isn't a shadow that looms over us with a sense of dread. It is a call to live fully, to cherish the fleeting present. When we acknowledge that life is finite, we stop getting bogged down by trivial worries and distractions. The things that once felt overwhelming, chasing the approval of others, obsessing over mistakes, begin to lose their grip on us. Why worry about what others think or fear failure when life is so short? Why not spend time doing what matters to you right now? Reflecting on death brings us face to face with the reality that we don't have infinite time, which sharpens our focus. It urges us to live with purpose, to seize opportunities, and to appreciate the present. When we fully understand that we will one day be gone, we no longer waste time on trivial things. Instead, we focus on what truly matters: love, growth, virtue, and experience. By making memento mori a regular practice, we don't become obsessed with death itself. Instead, we grow more in love with life, more intentional with how we spend our days. It's not about fearing death, but about honoring the fleeting beauty of life by embracing each moment with mindfulness, gratitude, and action. So, as you go through your day, remember, this moment is precious. Make it count. Embrace the natural order and work in harmony with it, understanding that everything has a predetermined order. Picture yourself in the middle of a storm. The wind howls, the rain pelts down, and the waves crash around you, each one threatening to pull you under. In this moment, there's a choice: fight against the storm, or let it pass through you. The Stoics would encourage you to embrace the storm, because, in the grand scheme, it's part of the natural order. To the Stoics, everything in life follows a predetermined order, a grand design that we cannot control but can choose to understand. They saw the universe as an intricate web, each event, each individual action, part of a larger, harmonious flow. In this philosophy, things happen for a reason, not because some higher power is controlling them, but because the natural laws of the universe are unfolding exactly as they should. Imagine this idea not as a passive resignation but as a deep, empowering truth. Everything that happens, whether seemingly good or bad, fits into a greater pattern. The Stoics understood that fighting against the natural order is like trying to resist the tide when you're swimming. The more you struggle, the more you exhaust yourself. But when you align yourself with the flow of life, when you accept that things are unfolding as they must, you become like the river, fluid, powerful, and adaptable. In this mindset, harmony becomes the key. Rather than trying to force life to bend to your will, you learn to work with it. You accept the obstacles as part of the journey, the challenges as opportunities for growth. You recognize that your role isn't to control every twist and turn, but to respond wisely to each moment. This perspective was embraced by the Stoic philosophers themselves. Take Epictetus, for example. He was born a slave, and his life was filled with hardships. But he found freedom not by resisting his circumstances, but by accepting them as part of the natural order. He didn't let his situation define him. Instead, he focused on what he could control: his own mind, his actions, and his responses. This approach does not mean passivity or fatalism. It's an active engagement with life, an understanding that everything has a role in the grand design, and your job is to respond with virtue, wisdom, and resilience. When things go wrong, instead of railing against the injustice or the chaos, you embrace the situation, seek the lesson it offers, and adjust your course accordingly. In a world where everything feels unpredictable and often chaotic, this Stoic approach offers a grounding truth: you are not alone in your struggles. Everything is part of the larger pattern. Nature is not a random collection of events, but a symphony playing out in perfect rhythm, and by aligning with it, you unlock a deeper sense of peace and purpose. So, next time life throws a curveball, rather than fighting it, take a deep breath and ask yourself, How can I work in harmony with this? Let the world unfold as it will, and trust that you are part of the greater design. In this way, embracing the natural order is not about surrendering, it's about finding your place within it, living fully and wisely in a universe that, in its own way, knows exactly what it's doing. Focus on internal validation, avoiding the endless search for external praise. Imagine standing on the edge of a vast, open sea. The waves are crashing, the horizon stretches endlessly, and the wind whips through your hair. Now, think of the sea as external validation. It's vast, unpredictable, and constantly shifting. One moment, the waves are calm and you feel buoyed by praise, compliments, or achievements. The next moment, the storm of criticism or failure threatens to pull you under. This endless ebb and flow of external forces can leave you feeling adrift and uncertain. Now, picture something different. You anchor yourself, not to the sea, but to something deep within. Your self-worth, confidence, and peace come from the rock-solid foundation of internal validation. You no longer seek to ride the waves of others' opinions or external recognition. Instead, you cultivate a sense of self-assurance that is unshakable, regardless of the winds of praise or criticism around you. This Stoic approach to self-validation is not just an abstract philosophy, it's a powerful way to live a more grounded, fulfilling life. The Stoics understood that depending on others' opinions for your sense of worth is like chasing shadows. It's a constant pursuit that can never truly satisfy you. Praise is fleeting, criticism can sting, but both are often tied to the whims of other people, and those can change in an instant. The only thing that remains constant? Your own judgment of yourself. The Stoics, especially figures like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, believe that true confidence is born from within. It's not about how the world sees you, but how you see yourself. They understood that external validation is exhausting. It's a game where the rules are constantly changing, and the prize is never really yours to claim. Seeking approval from others is like looking for your reflection in a funhouse mirror. It's distorted and unreliable. Instead, the Stoics focused on virtue, the inner compass that guides them, regardless of how others perceive them. They knew that how we judge our own actions, whether they are aligned with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, is the only validation that truly matters. This is the core of Stoic self-respect. It's based on living in accordance with your principles, not how many likes you get on social media or how many compliments you receive. Take, for instance, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled a vast empire. His thoughts, as recorded in his personal meditations, reveal a man who wasn't seeking adoration from the masses but was instead striving for internal peace. He wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." He wasn't concerned with external accolades. His focus was on his own actions, his thoughts, and his response to the world. When you focus on internal validation, you're no longer at the mercy of the opinions of others. Whether people praise you or criticize you, you remain grounded because your self-worth comes from the deep, unshakable knowledge that you are living in alignment with your values. You stop measuring your success by other standards, and start measuring it by your own commitment to integrity, growth, and purpose. This is the essence of freedom. The more you rely on external validation, the more you give up control of your own happiness. You hand over your power to others, letting their approval or disapproval dictate how you feel about yourself. But when you seek internal validation, you reclaim that power. You become your own source of confidence. It's a radical shift in thinking, but it's liberating. You're no longer constantly battling the shifting tides of approval. Instead, you anchor yourself in the knowledge that you are enough, just as you are, right here and right now. That's the beauty of focusing on internal validation. It's unwavering, it's yours to define, and it's built on a foundation that can weather any storm. Derive confidence from knowledge and virtue, not from societal judgments. Imagine standing on the edge of a great, roaring river, the current pulling in every direction. The river represents the societal judgments, the opinions, labels, and standards that society constantly imposes upon us. At first glance, it might seem like you have no choice but to be swept along with the current. Everyone is telling you who you should be, what you should have, and how you should live. The pressure is relentless. But what if I told you that the secret to true confidence isn't about conforming to the flow of this river, but about stepping back, planting your feet on solid ground, and building your own path? This is the essence of deriving confidence from knowledge and virtue, rather than from societal judgments. The Stoics believe that true strength and self-assurance come not from the fleeting approval of others, but from understanding the world around you and living in harmony with it. It's about aligning your life with deep wisdom and moral principles, rather than trying to win the ever-changing game of societal expectations. Let's break it down. When you derive your confidence from knowledge, you're not relying on the latest trend or the fleeting approval of others. Instead, you tap into something far more enduring, an understanding of the world, yourself, and the principles that govern both. Knowledge grounds you. It equips you to think critically, make wise decisions, and see things as they truly are, without the distortion of public opinion. Think about the Stoic philosophers. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest thinkers in history, didn't care what society thought of him. His confidence came from his deep understanding of philosophy and the belief that our actions, not our circumstances, define us. Similarly, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, wrote in his Meditations that true freedom comes from within, by aligning one's actions with reason and virtue, rather than chasing after the praise or judgment of others. Virtue, too, is a cornerstone of Stoic confidence. Virtue, in the Stoic sense, is living in accordance with the highest moral standards, acting with wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. It's about cultivating inner qualities that make you a person of integrity, not someone who seeks to impress or conform. Imagine a life where your self-worth is tied to your ability to act virtuously, rather than your popularity or status. This is where true confidence lies. When you live virtuously, your sense of self is unshakable. No amount of praise or criticism can sway you because your worth isn't determined by external judgments, but by the unbreakable foundation of your own character. The more you root your confidence in knowledge and virtue, the more impervious you become to the whims of societal opinion. Society might tell you that success is about having the most followers, the flashiest car, or the biggest house, but the Stoics would challenge you to ask, what does it mean to be truly successful? Is it about external markers, or is it about living a life of purpose, wisdom, and moral integrity? Imagine you're standing on that riverbank, but instead of allowing the current of societal judgment to sweep you away, you choose to walk confidently in the direction that you know is right. You've built your path with knowledge and virtue as your compass, and with each step, your confidence grows, not because of the approval of others, but because you're grounded in your own wisdom and values. In this way, confidence becomes unshakable, because it's based on something far more lasting than the ever-changing opinions of society. It's rooted in the timeless principles that guide your life, the wisdom you accumulate, and the integrity with which you live. When your confidence is grounded in knowledge and virtue, it becomes like a tree with deep roots. It stands firm, regardless of the storms that may come. So ask yourself, where do you derive your confidence from? Is it from the fickle judgments of the world around you, or from a deeper understanding of who you are and how you choose to live? The Stoics would urge you to trust in the latter, for that is where the true strength lies. Embrace vulnerability, acknowledging and accepting imperfections. Picture this: you're standing before a massive stone wall, the kind that's been built over centuries, each brick carefully placed, seemingly perfect. Yet, as you move closer, you notice something surprising: cracks, small but unmistakable, running through the stone. The wall isn't flawless after all. But those imperfections, those cracks, aren't weaknesses. They tell a story. They reveal a history, a journey of survival, of endurance. They show that perfection isn't the point. Growth, resilience, and the acceptance of imperfection are. This is how the Stoics would have us view vulnerability, not as a flaw, but as an integral part of our human experience. In a world that often celebrates strength, resilience, and the facade of invincibility, the Stoics invite us to step into the truth of who we are, imperfections and all. Embracing vulnerability is not about seeking attention or sympathy. It's about acknowledging the cracks in the stone, the parts of us that are imperfect, yet incredibly powerful. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wasn't afraid to speak candidly in his meditations about his flaws and his struggles. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." It's a reminder that being good doesn't mean being flawless. Instead, it means being real, embracing the parts of yourself that are raw, unrefined, and human. Think about it. How often do we try to hide our vulnerabilities? How often do we suppress our imperfections, masking them behind carefully constructed facades? Yet, it's in the act of embracing those imperfections that true strength emerges. By accepting that we are not perfect, we allow ourselves to be fully human, flawed, vulnerable, but also deeply resilient. In Stoic thought, vulnerability isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. The Stoics believed in the concept of amor fati, love of fate. This means accepting whatever comes our way, including the parts of ourselves that we might consider broken. In fact, they argue that it's precisely through the cracks in our armor that we allow ourselves to grow. Just as a tree's branches bend with the wind but don't break, we too can weather life's challenges and grow stronger through them. When you embrace vulnerability, you're not inviting failure or weakness into your life, you're inviting growth. The Stoics encourage us to see each of our imperfections as an opportunity for self-reflection, self-awareness, and ultimately improvement. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, reminded us that no man is free who is not master of himself. Mastery over yourself, he argued, comes not from pretending to be perfect but from understanding and accepting your flaws. Imagine walking through life not afraid to show the cracks in your own stone wall, not for others to pity you, but for you to acknowledge and grow through them. Vulnerability is a form of inner freedom. It's the strength to say, "I am not perfect, and that's okay." It's the understanding that our imperfections do not define us, but rather, they offer us a chance to improve and become more whole. By embracing our imperfections, we become more complete. As the Stoics understood, this acceptance of vulnerability also connects us to others. When we drop the act of being invulnerable, we allow others to do the same. We create a shared space where imperfections are not just accepted but celebrated as part of what it means to be human. The Stoics didn't just philosophize alone, they engaged with each other, using their vulnerability and shared understanding to learn and grow together. So, what if you let go of the need to be perfect? What if you embrace the cracks in your own stone wall, seeing them not as flaws but as the very places where you can grow stronger, more authentic, and more connected to others? The Stoic path to vulnerability invites you to stop hiding, to stop pretending, and to start living, fully, deeply, and unapologetically, in all your imperfect glory. True strength doesn't lie in being unbreakable. It lies in the willingness to be human, vulnerable, and imperfect. View failure as an opportunity for growth, not as a reflection of your worth. Imagine you're walking down a path, one that you believe leads to success. With each step, you grow more certain that you are on the right track. But then, unexpectedly, you stumble. You trip, fall, and find yourself face down in the dirt. It's not just a minor misstep, it feels like the entire journey has collapsed. In that moment, the temptation is strong, to see the fall as proof that you're not cut out for the path you're walking. But what if I told you that this fall, the failure, isn't a mark against your worth, but a gateway to something far greater? This is the Stoic approach to failure, not as a verdict on your character or ability, but as an opportunity for transformation and growth. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, taught us that failure is an inevitable part of life, but it does not define us. What defines us is how we respond to it. The first step is to understand this. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of success. It's like an artist faced with a canvas. What good is the masterpiece if there isn't an endless series of mistakes along the way? The first brushstroke might be uneven, the colors wrong, and the perspective off. But with each misstep, the artist learns, adjusts, and improves, until the final piece is born from all those failures. Epictetus, born a slave and later a freedman, embraced failure not as something to fear, but as a teaching tool. He said, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." This profound insight teaches us that failure, in and of itself, isn't harmful, it's how we view it that shapes our experience. If we see failure as the end of the road, we will be paralyzed by it. But if we reframe it as an essential part of growth, we free ourselves to keep moving forward, no matter how many times we fall. Think of Thomas Edison, who famously failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. When asked about his many failures, he replied, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." He understood that failure wasn't an obstacle to success, but an essential part of the process. Each failure brought him one step closer to the discovery that would change the world. This is the essence of the Stoic mindset: failure is feedback. This mindset is particularly liberating when we realize that failure doesn't diminish our worth. In fact, it enhances it. The Stoics teach that our true worth isn't measured by success or failure, but by how well we live in accordance with our values. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, faced countless setbacks, from wars to plagues to personal losses. Yet he remained centered, writing in his meditations, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacle, the failure, the hardship, these aren't roadblocks, they are the path itself. Every failure, no matter how painful, is a chance to refine our character, to become more resilient, and to grow stronger in the face of adversity. The key to turning failure into a powerful tool for growth lies in shifting our perspective. Instead of seeing failure as a reflection of our inadequacies, we need to view it as a reflection of our effort, our willingness to try, to push beyond our comfort zones, and to learn. Seneca, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, put it this way: "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Failure is the perfect opportunity to make the most of the time we have. It challenges us to stop wasting energy on fear or self-criticism and to use that energy to improve, adapt, and evolve. This shift in perspective is empowering. Rather than fearing failure, we can see it as a trusted companion on the road to self-mastery. Like a coach pushing us to reach our highest potential, failure gives us the feedback we need to grow, refine our approach, and sharpen our skills. It's through failure that we develop the grit and determination necessary to succeed in the long run. Consider the times in your life when you've failed, whether it was in relationships, work, or personal goals. Reflect on those moments. Did you learn something valuable from them? Did you grow in ways you never expected? If you're truly honest, you'll see that some of your greatest insights came from your lowest points. That's the gift of failure. It reveals the hidden strengths and lessons that success never could. So, next time you find yourself stumbling, remember, it's not a judgment on your worth. It's simply a chance to recalibrate, refine your approach, and keep moving forward. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Let your thoughts be those of resilience, growth, and transformation. Embrace failure as a powerful ally, not a foe, and watch yourself rise higher than ever before. Train the mind for mental endurance, practicing exercises like premeditatio malorum, anticipating negative events, to prepare for challenges. Picture this: you're about to face a critical moment in life, a big presentation, an important conversation, or a personal challenge. The pressure builds, and you're not sure if you're prepared for what's about to unfold. In that instant, imagine having the mental fortitude to remain calm, clear-headed, and ready for anything. You know that whatever happens, you've already prepared for the worst. You are unshakable. This is the Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, a mental exercise that involves anticipating potential challenges and setbacks before they arise. It's not about being pessimistic or expecting doom and gloom, but rather about arming yourself with the psychological resilience to face life's uncertainties head-on. Think of it as a mental dress rehearsal. In the same way athletes visualize their performance before a big game, the Stoics train their minds by imagining the difficulties and obstacles they might encounter. This allowed them to prepare emotionally and mentally, so they could meet adversity with poise rather than panic. The Stoic philosopher Seneca famously said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." By anticipating hardships, we rob them of their power and prevent them from taking us by surprise. Now, why would anyone want to intentionally imagine negative events? The key is that by mentally confronting challenges in advance, we minimize their shock value when they actually occur. This proactive approach to hardship trains the mind to be more adaptable, resilient, and poised in the face of adversity. Take, for example, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, who ruled through wars, personal losses, and political intrigue. His meditations are filled with reflections on how to remain composed in the midst of external turmoil. He regularly practiced premeditatio malorum by contemplating potential challenges and reminding himself of the impermanence of life. By doing this, he found peace in the midst of chaos, understanding that adversity was part of the human experience, not something to fear. Here's how the practice works. Instead of waiting for life's challenges to ambush you, you take a moment, perhaps in the morning or during meditation, to reflect on what could go wrong. Maybe you think about a difficult conversation with a loved one, a business setback, or an unexpected health issue. Instead of avoiding these thoughts, you lean into them, not to dwell in negativity, but to mentally prepare. By visualizing these obstacles, you allow your mind to rehearse the best responses, whether that means staying calm, practicing patience, or finding creative solutions. The result is not a life of constant dread but one of preparedness, a life where you know that no matter what happens, you've already strengthened your capacity to endure. This practice has profound implications for emotional resilience. It helps you detach from your fears and anxieties, recognizing that most of our stress stems from imagining worst-case scenarios. Seneca put it perfectly. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality. By training your mind to expect and accept challenges, you lower the emotional stakes and increase your ability to respond rationally and effectively. And here's the beauty of premeditatio malorum. It's not just about bracing for the worst, it's about appreciating the present moment and recognizing the value of every experience, good or bad. When you've already mentally prepared for hardships, you're more likely to savor the good moments because you're no longer living in fear of potential loss or disappointment. You start to embrace life's unpredictability with equanimity. For example, let's say you're preparing for a job interview. Instead of just visualizing a perfect scenario, where everything goes smoothly, take a moment to imagine what might go wrong. The interview could be awkward, you might not know the answer to a tough question, or the interviewer could seem uninterested. Now, instead of fearing those possibilities, you think about how you'll handle them. Maybe you take a deep breath, stay calm, and pivot gracefully. When the moment comes, you're not overwhelmed because you've already equipped yourself with a mental strategy for dealing with setbacks. This mental training also helps you remain more grounded when life throws unexpected challenges your way. By visualizing potential misfortunes in advance, you learn to embrace them with a calm, measured approach instead of being derailed by shock or panic. This is where true resilience is born, not in avoiding difficulty, but in facing it with unwavering composure. In essence, premeditatio malorum is like creating a mental armor. It doesn't prevent challenges from appearing in your life, but it does make you a master of how you react to them. It prepares you to weather the storms of life not just with grit, but with grace. The Stoics believe that by practicing this mental exercise, we could cultivate a sense of tranquility, even in the most turbulent of circumstances. So, the next time you face a tough situation, remember, it's not about whether you can avoid the storm, but whether you can stand firm and navigate it with a steady mind. The practice of premeditatio malorum helps you do just that, transforming life's inevitable challenges into opportunities for mental endurance and growth. Accept the transient nature of all things, focusing on living virtuously in the present. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, looking out over an ocean that stretches endlessly before you. The waves ebb and flow, but each one is fleeting, vanishing as soon as it reaches the shore. The more you watch, the more you realize that nothing in this world lasts forever. Not the waves, not the sunset, not even the cliffs themselves. This awareness of the impermanence of all things is not just philosophical, it's transformative. It's a key pillar of Stoic thought. Accept the transient nature of all things, focusing on living virtuously in the present. The Stoics, with their deep understanding of nature, saw the world as a continuous flow of change. Nothing is fixed, nothing is permanent, and trying to hold on to the transient is an exercise in futility. From the rise and fall of empires to the shifting seasons, everything is in a state of flux. What does this mean for us? It means that life, in all its beauty and difficulty, is a series of moments that come and go, moments that are precious because they are fleeting. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius often reflected on this truth in his personal writings, now known as Meditations. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This simple but profound statement is a reminder that life is fragile, and time, once spent, cannot be reclaimed. With this knowledge, the Stoics encouraged us not to squander a single moment in pursuit of trivialities or fleeting pleasures. Instead, they urged us to focus on what is truly enduring, our character and our actions. Here's where the magic happens. By accepting the transient nature of all things, we free ourselves from the anxiety of trying to control the uncontrollable. The Stoics didn't mourn the loss of what was passing. They celebrated the opportunity to live virtuously, no matter what the moment offered. In a world that glorifies permanence, whether in relationships, careers, or possessions, the Stoics found their peace in impermanence. They understood that true fulfillment comes not from holding on, but from embracing the flow of life as it is. Let's take Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher born a slave who later became one of the most influential voices of the school. Epictetus's life was defined by hardship, yet he embodied this acceptance of life's impermanence. He famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By focusing on what he could control, his thoughts, his actions, his character, Epictetus lived a life of freedom, regardless of his external circumstances. The external world might change, but his inner commitment to virtue remained steady. But why should we embrace the transient nature of all things? Because it awakens us to the present moment. The more we try to control the future or cling to the past, the less we are able to truly experience now. Every minute we spend yearning for what's gone or worrying about what's to come is a minute we lose in the present, the only moment where life truly exists. The Stoics understood that impermanence was not a curse, but a gift. It meant that suffering, too, was temporary. As Seneca wrote, "No man is a fool who suffers pain or loss, for it too will pass, and he will emerge stronger." This acceptance of the transience of life allows us to detach from what is beyond our control and find peace in the certainty of change. The seasons change, people come and go, and everything has its time. When we accept this, we stop wasting our energy on futile resistance and instead focus on what is within our power, living virtuously in the present. The beauty of this Stoic lesson lies in its practicality. In a world where we are constantly looking ahead, planning for the future, striving for success, or fearing what's to come, the Stoics remind us to pause, reflect, appreciate the moment. The present is the only time that truly exists, and it's where virtue can be practiced. Every choice we make today echoes through our lives, and when we align our actions with virtue, honesty, courage, justice, and wisdom, we create meaning, even in a world of constant change. This acceptance of impermanence encourages us to make the most of every fleeting moment. In the face of adversity, we remember that everything is transient, and thus, we don't take our troubles too seriously. Instead, we respond with calm, resilience, and the unwavering knowledge that this, too, shall pass. So, next time you're caught in the rush of life, ask yourself, am I holding on to something that no longer serves me? Am I fearing change, or embracing the flow of life? The Stoics would have you remember that all things pass, and in this knowledge, we find freedom, the freedom to live fully, to love deeply, and to act with virtue, no matter what the tides of life bring. Embrace the present. It is the only place where life truly unfolds. Find strength in community and interconnectedness, recognizing the collective wisdom of humanity. Imagine walking through an ancient marketplace, surrounded by people from all walks of life, philosophers, craftsmen, traders, and farmers. Each person carries their own unique experiences, struggles, and wisdom, yet they are all interconnected in this vibrant tapestry of existence. This scene may be from a distant time, but it holds a powerful lesson. Strength is found not in isolation, but in community. The Stoics understood this profound truth long before we lived in the hyperconnected digital age. They believed that the collective wisdom of humanity, shared through generations and experiences, was an invaluable source of strength. The Stoics embraced the concept of cosmopolitanism, the idea that all humans, regardless of nationality, wealth, or status, are citizens of the world. In their eyes, every individual is intrinsically connected to the broader human community. This wasn't a lofty philosophical ideal, but a guiding principle that shaped their thoughts, actions, and relationships. The Stoics saw the universe as a grand system, where every being had a role to play, contributing to the harmony of the whole. This interconnectedness was not just a fact, it was a source of strength and wisdom. When we look at Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who was also a Stoic philosopher, we see how deeply he understood the power of community. Despite ruling an empire, he often reminded himself of his place within the larger web of life. In his meditations, he wrote, "What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee." This simple yet profound statement reflects his belief that individual well-being is inherently tied to the well-being of the collective. He understood that his actions and choices weren't isolated, they impacted those around him, and in turn, he drew strength from the shared wisdom of the people he governed. But it wasn't just rulers like Marcus Aurelius who understood the power of community. Epictetus, a former slave who became a philosopher, often spoke about the importance of recognizing our interconnectedness. For Epictetus, it was essential to acknowledge that we are not solitary beings, but part of a vast, intricate system. He famously said, "We are not born for ourselves alone." This statement reflects the Stoic belief that our purpose is not only to cultivate our own virtue, but to contribute to the greater good of the community. In the Stoic worldview, community wasn't merely about shared experiences or social gatherings. It was about mutual growth, learning, and support. The Stoics believed that by recognizing our common humanity, we could draw strength from others. They understood that the challenges we face in life are not unique to us alone. The wisdom we seek, the lessons we need to learn, and the resilience we require often come from those who have walked before us or stand beside us. In this sense, every interaction is an opportunity to learn, grow, and build collective strength. But how does this idea of interconnectedness apply to us today, in a world where individualism is often prized over collaboration? In our fast-paced, tech-driven society, it's easy to feel disconnected, even when we're constantly surrounded by people. Yet the Stoics remind us that true strength comes from recognizing that we are part of something greater than ourselves. We don't have to navigate life's challenges alone. In fact, it is through engaging with others, sharing wisdom, offering support, and contributing to the common good that we find true resilience. Consider the Stoic practice of Socratic dialogue, where individuals engage in thoughtful conversation to challenge their ideas, refine their thinking, and learn from one another. This isn't just an intellectual exercise, it's a way of fostering a community of wisdom. By engaging with others, the Stoics believed we could sharpen our own understanding of virtue, challenge our assumptions, and grow together. But community isn't just about intellectual exchange. It's also about emotional and practical support. When facing hardship or adversity, the Stoics encouraged us to lean on our community for strength. Seneca, in his letters to his friend Lucilius, often wrote about the importance of friendship and shared wisdom. He recognized that facing life's difficulties in isolation could breed despair, but with the right companions, people who share your values and understand your struggles, every challenge becomes more manageable. In today's world, we may not walk through the same ancient marketplaces as the Stoics, but the principles they practiced are more relevant than ever. From the friends and family we connect with, to the online communities we engage in, the strength of a united human spirit is still an invaluable resource. When we take time to listen to others, share our knowledge, and offer our support, we create a web of resilience. This interconnectedness not only enriches our own lives, but it strengthens the collective, making us all more capable of facing life's uncertainties. So, the next time you face a challenge, ask yourself, who can I turn to for wisdom or support? How can I contribute to the collective strength of my community? By embracing the Stoic ideal of interconnectedness, we open ourselves to the wisdom and strength that exists within the people around us. In this way, we don't just survive life's challenges, we grow through them, together. After all, as the Stoics taught us, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.